Welcome to another episode of In Your Business. Today we're going to meet with a very interesting entrepreneur, an entrepreneur that's been doing business for over 13 years, but recently brought it more local just because more than anything it's kind of like a hobby, something to do in the spare time. So James Patrick is going to join us today and he's going to share with us what he's doing as an entrepreneur. James, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So James, before we actually talk about your business, I always like to get to know you as an entrepreneur. And to do so, I always like to go back in time and realize we all had a childhood. And as we experienced that childhood, we had different dreams, different things we thought we wanted to do when we grow up. But did you grow up in this area?
I grew up in New Paris, just across state line.
Okay.
Been here my whole life. So.
Okay, so growing up in New Paris is very close. Most of us know New Paris. But as a child, what were you thinking that you might like to do when you grow up?
Well, I wanted to be a football player. Actually, I played football and baseball in high school, so that was something I thought I was going to do. I was going to go to college, I was going to play football, and I was going to play football in my life. So.
Okay, so you're going to go pro?
I was going to try, but it just didn't work out that way.
Okay, so so in high school you were thinking you're going to be a pro football player, at least play in college. Did you go into college?
I wanted to, but the funds just wasn't available at the time with my family and stuff. So I ended up went into the workforce and worked factory for most of my life till I became a paraprofessional, and then went to work at National Trail, working with students. So.
Okay. So basically then things did change. You did not play football.
I coached football, so I put my talents to good use and tried to teach the youth how to do it. So.
Okay, so I'm going to back up just a bit and say, so you said you went to the factory.
Yeah.
And so were you learning manufacturing? Were you managing the factory? What were you doing?
I was actually learning manufacturing and working towards becoming a manager.
Okay, because one of my favorite things, and the students can tell you that, is I love production. Manufacturing and production is awesome. I think that's where we really can make a big difference in our world and the economy.
Yeah.
And so I get excited about that. So you got to experience that firsthand. And after that, you said you went to National Trail.
Yeah, I went to National Trail, and I started out in the special ed department. I was a personal aide for a young man, and tried to work with him on skill set and stuff like that. Then I went into discipline for the last 10 or 15 years and did their in-school discipline and worked with students to make sure they got caught up and graduated on time and stuff. So.
Okay, so you were able to basically help individuals at the school.
Yes.
But you said you coached football.
Yeah, I coached football for about 4 or 5 years at National Trail.
Okay, were you the assistant coach, the main coach?
I was
What were you
actually
doing?
defensive coordinator when I first started out, and worked with the defense a lot. And really something I was especially in defense when I played, so it really hit home to me to help them out like that.
So that was a part of the coaching staff then, and such as you did that. And let's talk about while you were at National Trail, how did that transition into becoming an entrepreneur?
Actually, I found out it gave me a soothing, because I worked with disciplined kids, so I came home sometimes I was upset, angry, and things happening through the day, and I didn't have an outlet to get rid of it. So, cutting wood, painting, staining, stuff like that was a kind of a stress reliever for me when I was younger. So it just carried over to when I got older, that it's something I wanted to do and kept me grounded.
Okay, so you started the business. Did you give up the day job to start, or did you do both?
No. Me and my wife both work, and we started doing craft shows at first, and then a lady had come in and had a shop in Metamora, and she offered it to my wife, so we ended up going down looking at it and started our business in a little cabin down there, and ended up growing for 13 years and had like a little cafe and a craft store together down there, and we do it on the weekends and work 40 hours a week and go down there every Saturday and Sunday.
Wow. So. Now that can be almost a double-edged sword, I guess, because what happens is you work all week, and then on the weekends you're working again. But in entrepreneurship, which is what you were doing on the weekends, it doesn't always feel like work.
No, because I mean, when you work for somebody else, it doesn't feel like you're doing it for yourself. You're doing it for them. And having the business ourselves, that was kind of something we were trying to do for the future. Our retirement is, per se, is extra money for then. So we were building it to make it get bigger and bigger. So when we did retire, we had something else to do besides sit at home.
And I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but I get the feeling what happens is you say you were working Monday through Friday in your careers, and then on the weekends, Saturdays, Sundays, you were down in Metamora, you were selling your goods and such. I'm guessing in the evenings, Monday through Friday, you were probably working?
Monday through Friday, yeah, we'd have to make crafts, and we were going out buying crafts and looking and stuff. So we were working 24/7.
Yeah, it wasn't just a weekend thing.
It's not a weekend. You're working all the time to catch up on your own business.
So you basically were just shifting where you were located.
Yeah.
But so what is your business?
It's Family Touch Perimeter Treasures, and we do home decor and crafts, candles, stuff like that.
Okay, and so variety of things, and individuals come in, they shop, they find what they like, they purchase, they may tell you what they're looking for, then do you try to find it?
Well, like the other day, I had some stuff, and then a lady come in asking for a specific item, and I told her I could get online and see if I could find it for her. Actually, I did find it and ordered it, so she can have it. But sometimes it works out where I can find the right stuff, sometimes it doesn't, or maybe I can find something to replace what they were looking for. It just depends on my resources and what I have to go with.
Okay, so I'm going to dig into the business.
Okay.
It's what I do. And so when it comes to your inventory, it sounds like you're an artist. It sounds like you can create a lot of your inventory.
I do. I try to do quite a bit, yeah.
And so in addition to that, then you also purchase some of it.
Yeah.
Are you set up then to wholesale, to where you can purchase wholesale, resell at retail, or how do you do that?
Yeah, I have probably 6 to 8 vendors that I can buy from wholesale to resell. Just depends on the merchandise and the type of materials that's needed for the crafts and stuff. But usually a lot of my retailers have out of overseas contacts, which I don't have, so I can get things at a reasonable price and put it out for a reasonable price to others.
Good, good. Well, I mean, that's important because you need to be able to make a profit.
Yeah.
And to make the profit, you've got to be able to sell it at a fair price. That way people are buying from you. But you've got to be able to still have a margin in there.
Right.
So you got to buy it right to be able to sell it right.
Yeah.
And so that's important. Then you've got the overhead. And that's what a lot of people don't realize is they just think, oh, well, you know, you've got a lot of inventory, but that's a lot of cost. And then you've got the overhead on top of that. In Metamora, you had a shop there. And even though it was only open maybe on the weekends, you were still occupying it.
And actually, we were only open from May to December, and we were still paying our overhead for January, February, and March, and April. So 4 months of the year, we didn't have any customers, but we were still paying the overhead on top of it. So you always got to look at your rent and your electric and water and stuff like that. So we were 4 months in the hole before we even started making profit.
Oh, James, you didn't tell me about this. So what happens is, I didn't realize that. So yes, you're right, a seasonal business on top of that. So for me personally, as an entrepreneur, I'd have been trying to figure out a way I could do something, even if I was taking tools down there and creating production down there, you know?
Yeah.
But wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, for 13 years, it was we'd always had that 4 months that we had to make up for before we started making a profit. But in the business, sometimes you have to make make those circumstances work for you.
Oh,
one way or
absolutely,
another,
yeah. I mean, we all have to adjust to it, and I appreciate that. But so you had this store there in Metamora for 13 years.
Yeah.
Still living in New Paris or Richmond?
No, we live here in Richmond now.
So you live here in Richmond now. So you would make the drive to Metamora every weekend.
Yep.
And spend some long hours. I'm assuming you have a truck that you hauled stuff in, or did you have a trailer?
Yeah, we use most of the stuff we take down in a pickup truck. We have a trailer. We do a couple craft shows throughout the year to help out.
Okay.
Like Pork Fest and Canal Days and stuff like that. But we usually just every Saturday morning we would load up and take a load down and fill in and make sure the shop was back to normal before we started again. So
Well, it's interesting because when I come to your shop, and today you're not located in Metamora, today you're located here in Richmond.
Yes.
And you're in the 5th Street Bagel,
Yes.
correct?
That's it.
And so how do you describe where you're at?
It's a little bit more laid back. You know, we get the customers from the bagel shop that come in while they're waiting on their stuff. And when we was in Metamora, you know, the train would come in, you get a big rush for, you know, half hour to an hour, and then the train would leave. So, you know, you sit there all day for a big rush of customers. Now at the bagel shop, it's kind of a steady all day long because they constantly get people in the shop to get food and coffee and stuff. So they come back to the shop and spend time back there as well. So
Sure.
I see more people down Metamora, but I actually see people longer at the bagel shop than I did down there. So
And probably more often because, I mean, I'm a
Right.
fairly regular person
Yeah.
here at the 5th Street Bagel.
quite
so,
a few regulars come in, and I see quite a few people, and I like that a lot better because, you know, you get to meet the people and you get to enjoy the conversations and stuff.
Sure.
So.
Well, the two work together so well because, you know, I can order my breakfast, I can order my lunch, whatever it might be I'm doing, and while they're preparing it, I come back and say hello to you,
Yeah.
and then I go back up, it's ready for me. So
It works out great.
good. And others, I'm sure, can come back and find a birthday gift or an anniversary or just some kind of specialty I care about you gift,
Right.
and or maybe just shop.
Yeah, or they come back and socialize, which I don't mind that either because
Mm-hmm.
that's all about people is talking to them and enjoying
Mm-hmm.
the conversation. So.
So your shop is located right there. Literally, you walk through the bagel shop, walk through the glass, and that's you. What do I find there? What's your specialties? What do you have?
Well, we have tart milk candles. We have a lot of garden flags and a lot of seasonal. Every season I change out. So we'll have right now I've got Easter and spring and summer in the shop. Christmas, I do have a corner of Christmas. We have excess whenever you fill a store that size, and the season goes away. You can either box it up or you keep it out, and Christmas tends to sell year round. So
Okay.
the snowmen and stuff like that I keep out in a corner, so you can have something for all seasons really.
So it also sounds like, and this is something that interests me, is you bring in the inventory, you're trying to sell it, but if it's seasonal and it doesn't sell, you got to make a choice.
Yeah.
Are you going to discount it so that it will move, or do you box it up and store it for another year?
I discount down some, but then I have to have inventory to fill the store the next year. So once it gets to a month or two afterwards, and I'll box most of it up and store it away, because you know, you start a month, 2 months before a season to get started up, and to purchase a full store worth of inventory, it costs a lot. Plus, it takes a little time to get in.
Mm-hmm.
So this way, I can go and pull out boxes and put out and get started on the season early. So.
Okay. And so I guess if somebody was really looking for something, they should tell you.
Yeah.
Because there's a good chance you have it in a box in storage.
Most of the time, I can go back and find something at least for any season. So.
Okay, well that's good. Yeah. That's great. So that transition, when you went from Metamora to the shop there at the 5th Street Bagel, did you downsize, or is this about the same size?
Actually, we downsized. We actually closed up the shop in Metamora in October, and we were going to stop doing it totally. And I was sitting at home, and it just wasn't for me.
Okay.
I needed something. So my daughter actually had seen the business, and she has her jewelry and clothing in with us, and she had mentioned it to me. So we went in and talked to the lady, and she was interested, and we went ahead and opened up in December up here.
Okay.
So we shut down really for 2 months and was going to close up permanently, and decided it wasn't for us, and we went ahead and moved up here and went into the shop. And it's a lot smaller, but I like the location and I like the atmosphere, so it worked out for us.
Now I've got a question that you made me wonder now, and I hope maybe people watching have the same question. October is a lead-in time for the holiday season.
Yeah.
That seems like that would be your largest holiday season. What happened here?
With the you have the 4 months in the beginning of the year that you're down so much and stuff,
Right.
and there was some issues that came about in December with some electrical and stuff, and we kind of fell behind. Even the 4 months kind of ate into our savings and stuff like, and our checking account and stuff, and it just the hour drive down and the cost of living and the customer base and stuff since COVID really slacked off, and it really hurt on the business as far as that goes. And to pay the rent, the water, the electric, the membership dues and stuff, and then driving an hour one way just wasn't for us anymore. And we wanted something close, and if we couldn't find anything close, it was time to be with our grandkids and just sit back. But I just couldn't do it, so I had to get out and back into business.
Well, it's funny that it's interesting that the timing, because of the whole October to December, but I bring that up because oftentimes in the classroom, I can teach from this kind of thing. A lot of times when I'm speaking with finance and I'm talking about stocks, okay, and investments, a student might say to me, Tim, did you see sales last week on this item? I think I should purchase this stock. And they don't realize that a lot of times those returns are based on quarters.
Yeah.
And so just because we're shopping in November and December doesn't mean the retailer is great in October, November, December. So I get it, but I wanted to hear it. I wanted to hear what was going on. So now let's transition and get away from Metamora. Let's talk about Richmond. Let's talk about where you're at in the Fifth Street Bagel. And the hours, have you putting that in certain days? You there 7 days?
We're there 7 days a week, 9:30 to 2, Monday through Saturday, 9:30 to 1 on Sundays. Trying to go every day of the week so far.
That really surprises me. So you're there 7 days a week?
Yeah, I'm there 7 days a week. Surprises my wife too, because she works 50, 60 hours a week. So the weekends she likes to get out a little bit, but then to come down and be with me in the shop and help me with the shop and stuff. But the hours work out great, so we can be with our grandkids and our kids and stuff. And we do it as a family. My daughter comes up and she's got stuff in there, and she makes jewelry and earrings and stuff, tie-dye and stuff. And so she'll come in sometimes when she's not working and spend some time there and stuff. So it's that's what it's called family touch, is because we've always had our kids working with us or helping us and doing stuff. So
okay. So when I work with students and we talk about business, we talk oftentimes about a sole proprietor. We talk about a partnership, corporation. I think it's very important to understand the LLC and keeping your assets separate. But it sounds like this is a partnership.
yeah, just me and my wife now.
Okay.
My daughter, the stuff she puts in and is minimal. And it's just for her, she does it on the side too. She works full time
okay.
and stuff. So she had thought about opening up a business, but in this day and age, just a small business like that, the cost is just, between paying the taxes and making sure you're paying the sales tax and everything, it was too much for her to handle right now. And I was set up to do it, and I told her not to worry about it. And she gets her stuff out, and I take care of everything else. So
Sure. That's a great way about being, I'm going to call it a sole proprietor, I'm going to call it a small business.
Yeah.
If you can call it a partnership, you can call it whatever you like, but it's a family business.
Yes.
Okay. And with that, you can help each other. I'm sure she could come in and work if you want to take a vacation.
Oh yeah, she. If I need her to come in for a day or something like that, if she's not working or something, she would come in, and
Sure.
she knows the ins and outs and stuff. Her and her boyfriend helped us at Pork Fest. When we're there, we have a 50 by 50 square foot. We have 10 booths, so it needs all the help we can get.
So you still have the trailer, you still have the truck, you
Oh,
still
yeah.
have everything. So I'm guessing your home's somewhat of a warehouse too, probably.
Well, yeah, we have all our setup for our craft shows and stuff in the one trailer, and then when it comes to time for the shows, My uncle has another box trailer and we'll get it. So we actually take 2 trailers to most of our shows. We'll have 1 trailer with setup and 1 trailer with merchandise.
Wow.
So
you stay very busy with this.
it takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, thinking ahead.
Okay.
Trying to find out what type of product I want to buy, because a lot of our vendors are selling, you know, most of the spring and summer stuff's ready the 1st of January. So you're
Okay.
putting an order in October.
Okay.
And then, you know, it goes along, you know, fall comes out in July and Christmas in August. So you're having to have the means to buy stuff 3 or 4 months before you're going to use it, and then so you have to store it away before you use it.
And that was going to be my question. So when those vendors say, you order in October, and I'll make sure you have it in April or May, are you paying it?
Oh, yeah.
So you're having to prepay this inventory,
Yes.
and that's how you're getting it wholesale.
That's right.
So you're prepaying, you're putting in that investment, you can't cancel the order.
Without, you can, but you pay a penalty.
Okay.
And nowadays, if you're buying stuff that's coming from overseas, you got an overseas expense.
Mm-hmm.
You got to pay for your shipping and handling. Plus, you know, if you use a credit card through your business, you're paying for a credit card expense on top of everything. So, you know, $1,000 order could turn into $1,500–$1,600, and then you have to, you know, when you go to set your merchandise out, you have to average in the shipping cost, your, you know, overseas cost, and your credit card cost on top.
Sure.
So,
And that's an important part of being an entrepreneur, is to be able to set your price.
yeah.
And I mean, it's kind of fun because you do some of the crafts yourself.
Yes.
So you know what those are costing you, if you're allowing your time in there as well. And I don't know, some people do. But it's hard, because how do you set your pricing?
Well, a lot of people will charge double.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that can be, for a consumer to come in and say, you know, they paid $5 for an item, and, you know, somebody puts $15 on it, and I try to put 10 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
You got to look at what you would want to pay for it, as well as what someone else would come in and want to pay for it.
Okay.
So if I have an item and I look at it and I like it, yeah, I might put a decent price on it because I like it, and I know if I don't get rid of it, I'll put it in my house and my house look nice. But if it comes in and it's something that you didn't think about, you might not be able to get rid of it, and you might only make $1 off of it because people don't want it.
Yeah. So pretty much you got to see what the market will allow.
Yeah.
And you're not, it doesn't sound like you're trying to be greedy, but
No.
you're trying to make sure that it's allowable in the market. So I like that. Here's the thing. You're competing with the internet. The internet, a lot of people are out there selling today with e-commerce. Are you joining that?
We have a Facebook page, but a lot of our sales is just people come in. Now they'll email me and ask me or Facebook me if I have something, or if I can get something for them, and I sell a lot that way. But we've been pretty much just, I guess you'd want to call it cash and carry.
Okay.
Yeah, come in, see what I got, and take it. I try to do as much as I can online. Honestly, I'm just not as smart as some people.
Well, I don't want to say that. But,
I'll be honest. Time-wise and stuff, I don't have the time sometimes and stuff, or I get interest in something and I wouldn't have time to look at and stuff, and I don't want to upset people, not answer them back or stuff. So we do as much as we can, but it's probably not as much as some people. But
well, don't ever underestimate some of that family, because you mentioned grandchildren, and some of them are going to be coming up and saying, "Grandfather, what if we do an app, or what if we do this?" You know, and listen to them.
oh yeah, well, they got a long ways to go. They're very, very young right
Are they?
now.
Well,
so.
they'll get there.
Oh yeah.
And maybe they'll be taking over the business. You never know.
If I know one is, she makes a lot of stuff. Her dad used to have a shop too, so
Yeah.
I'm hoping all my grandkids have the opportunity to do something that they want to do. So.
Well, I hope you're instilling the entrepreneur in them,
Oh.
okay? I think it's an important thing. I believe in entrepreneurship. It's hard. It's a lot of hard work. And you do have to be smart. You have to be able to think things through. You have to understand what's at risk and what the return's going to be. You got to be able to, adjust to markets. You were doing this 13 years, plus the time you've got now, so I know you were doing it through COVID. Supply chain management. We had such a difficult time finding things everywhere. Did it affect you?
Yeah, I did. One of my distributors actually had shipping containers sitting in the ocean because he couldn't get them to dock. So, at that time of the year, I might only get half an order, or I'd have to put 2 orders together because we wasn't getting what a skid would be for shipment and stuff. So it all depends on the shipments too. I mean, everybody has to go through port and everything else, and when one shuts down, 20, 30 ships sitting out in the ocean don't get undocked, and merchandise don't get shipped out. So,
well, let me tell you, before we came on air, you were talking to me about one of my former students that were in, okay? And he was questioning and talking to you, but don't ever feel bad if you start talking to him about the ports, and he'll know everything there is to know about the ports, because I believe strongly in educating people on what really goes on, from the manufacturing to getting it to the port, getting it from the port to the warehouse, to your store, and into the consumer's home. And I think we all have to understand that process. And we need to understand that things come with a cost. And you're taking a risk, you're putting in an investment, you've got to get a return on that. And so we've got to encourage people to support entrepreneurs like yourself. Okay? I appreciate the work you're putting in. I know you're putting a lot of hours into it, but that's what entrepreneurs do.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a reason you're doing it. And that's because you're loving it.
Oh, yeah.
You're enjoying it, it makes you who you are, and you're making a difference for people. So keep doing it.
I appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. This concludes another episode of In Your Business. Today we visited with James, and I'll tell you, James has really put his heart and passion into entrepreneurship. Whether it's in Metamora, whether it's right here in Richmond, Indiana, he cares about what he's doing for the people, and he's making sure he's doing a great job of it. It's kind of fun because the reason he transitioned from Metamora to Richmond was to get closer to home, because he thought he was just going to give it up and take a retirement. 2 months into it, he found out, no, he wants to be an entrepreneur. So he opened up the shop and he's helping us. So as a community, I hope we can go behind him and help him as well and make a difference for his shop right there at the 5th Street Bagel. Thanks for watching In Your Business.